Hello, welcome to another episode of E-Training Guides. Today we're going to be talking about SCCM migrations. And the reason why you would want to do that is if you're moving your SCCM server to a new co-location or maybe to the cloud or someplace else. And you don't want to have to rebuild everything from scratch. So you can migrate the objects from one environment to the other. So that's what we're going to go over today. To note, there's a few things that you can migrate. You can migrate the applications, soft-update groups, boundaries, collections, configuration baselines, configuration policies, operating systems in your task sequence. We'll go over the list when we do a migration task later in the video. Some of the things that you cannot migrate will be custom reports that you created outside of your standard reports, scripts that you created, security scopes, client settings, and anything that's custom configuration like your CMG, endpoint analytics or desktop analytics or anything like that. You'll have to re-enable those in the new environment. So with that, let's get started. So I have my old environment here. I'm going to bring my new environment over. So the first thing you'll have to do when you're doing this is you're going to have to set up your new environment and get everything ready, and you want to be at the same version of SCCM as I have right now. I'm at 2107. I'm going to be upgrading my new environment to 2111, but I want to do that after I migrate everything over from the old environment to the new. So now that I've got that set up, one of the first things you want to do is set up if you have any special custom security scopes. So I've already exported that from the other environment. So if you come in here, all you have to do is click on one of your custom and do export security role, and it'll export it to an XML file. And I copied that already to the new environment. So now I'm going to import my security role. And let me go here, and I'm going to click on that one. Click on. That way I don't have to reset all the settings and all those permissions and all that stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and import the other one. There we go. So now I have my security admins and my desktop. Well, the reason why I did that first is because during the migration task or job, you can actually select which security scopes get applied to those, objects that you want to migrate over, or you can just leave it at default and change it later. So with that, first thing you want to do once you've got the two environments up and running. First thing you want to do is go to administration and go to hierarchy setting. And then you want to add specify source hierarchy, which is, I put in my current server, I put the account that I'm going to use, and then you just check this. You don't need to worry about that unless you want to, data from the source hierarchy. This could take several hours or whatever, but I didn't want to do that. Didn't need to do that because I have my own DP. I can always replicate once I migrate the object. I'll go ahead and replicate them later. So I already did that. As you can see, it's already ready for next date of gathering. So I just did that. So now what I want to do is I want to migrate my jobs. So I don't have any jobs created. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to create a migration job. I'm going to say applications. Maybe I want to do desktop applications or let's just do applications because it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to call it applications. Now I'm just going to select object migrations, all I need to select. And then I can select the applications that I want. Now you can see I have it, I could have called it desktop and then called the other one server. So I'm going to go ahead and just select everything. I wonder if I need to, let me see. Let me go back here. Yeah. Let's see if it creates the folders. Let's just check that out. I don't, all right, so I'm going to see if it creates the folders. I don't think it does, but I'll check it. All right, so we have that. It may, and then I've got my applications here, and I click on next. And then it's going from one environment to the other. And then I'm not going to do any collections or anything. Just go ahead and click next. There's no collections that need to be configured here. And so I can select now, here's where I can select the security scopes. Right now I'm just going to put the default for now, so it's adds all the default stuff. I can kind of go back in there later and re-add the security scope if I want to, but if you know if that application needs to have a specific security scope, at this point you can add it here, which is why I was showing you to import, do all that stuff first. So I'm just going to select default for now. And you can even create a custom one if you wanted to at this point, but we're going to just do this. And then I can run the migration job now. I can do not run it, but I just want to create it. I can schedule it at a specific time. So maybe you want to do it after hours, or if you have to, and then you can do not migrate updated objects by default. So basically, if you already have objects in the new environment and you just want to just update the objects, you can, or you can override all objects. This will override anything, any copy. Like if you're doing multiple migrations, you want to click on override, so it overrides all those objects. But since this is the first one, I'm going ahead and do that. Do not migrate. This will prevent updated object from overriding previously migrated object. So this is the first one, so I can select this. But if I was going to do this again, then I would want to select override all the objects, so it overrides whatever's in the new environment. If you're going to do it multiple times, and most likely in a big, huge enterprise environment, you'll probably do that because people are working side by side type thing. So now when I go to, sorry about that. Actually, so you click on migration jobs, you can see right here that it's running. So this will take some time to run depending on how many applications you select in the application list. And so let's kind of go over some of the other stuff you can migrate at this point. I'm not going to create any new ones, so I'm going to go ahead and create that. So I'm just going to call it test for right now, so we can take a look at all the different things you can migrate. So as you can see, you can upgrade your software distribution packages, your deployments, your task sequences, your collections. I just did the applications as I showed you. Application deployments, if you wanted to copy those over. Global conditions, if you have any. App B environments, if you have any of that. Software update packages, update groups, deployments, operating systems, task sequences, baselines and your deployments, configuration items, asset intelligence stuff, software metering rules, which I have quite a number of those. We can migrate those over. If you have any saved searches, you can actually migrate that over. Boundaries, your boundary groups, and your configuration policy. And that's basically it. So now you can notice you don't have scripts listed in here, you don't have custom reports listed in here, you don't have all the other customizations that if you have in your current environment, you will have to re-enable that. So that's just to go over that. And again, this is going to run, so depending on how long it takes. So we're going to let this run, and then we'll come back in just a second. While we're waiting for that, I wanted to kind of show you in the new environment, what I've done is I did the Active Directory force discoveries turned on, the system discovery is enabled, and I did the user discovery at this point, so I can grab all of the objects that are in Active Directory. So for example, I've got some devices that are showing that don't have, this one has the old current client in the other environment, so I don't want to push through that yet. So you'll start to see some of the other environments as they come up, and they'll start showing up here, but they won't have a client, so that's okay. We'll deal with that last as we get everything else migrated, and then once we start getting things migrated, then we can start moving clients over and start using the other environment in parallel. It's kind of when you want to do that. So I've got a few things already in the new environment, and I've removed the, like this one, I got the Windows 10 here. I don't have my Windows 11 yet, so I've got some other servers that are going to be coming up. And then I didn't do any, and you also want to have your WSUS already configured and connected to your new environment. So as you can see, I have my updates already there. And I've already did a migration, got a monitoring, and so I did a synchronization, so I did like one sync, so I have some updates in there. So you want to have at least that set up. And then anything else, you'll have to uninstall in one environment and do the new. So we'll do a couple of those. I'm not sure we'll do it in this video, but we'll probably do it in the next, just be a series, maybe a couple of videos to go over all of the migration components of what you need to do. So that's the basic you need to have before you start the migration, and it's a bare minimum. And that's basically it. So let's go back over to my new and see how the migration job is running on that. So and now it's completed. And as you can see that it's completed, so now I need to go over to my applications and see them. Now it's going to be dumped right here. So it did not create the folders as I suspected, which is fine. Now what I need to do, since they're migrated, they're not replicated to my domain controller, my distribution points that are assigned to my new environment. So I'm going to have to go through and change the path. Now I think now you have it here, but you also need to copy the files from the server, from the old server to the new. And then I can repoint the application to it. So right now, none of the applications are here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to here, go to packages, and there's the stuff. So now I'm going to go ahead and copy the stuff over from the old. There's the packages, so I'm going to go ahead and copy all the stuff over to my new, except for Edge. Yeah, that's okay. That says Microsoft Edge. So this will take a little bit of time. Come back to this. All right, so everything's been copied over from the old location to the new repository. So there's the old, and then so now what I want to do is come in here and reconfigure the content location. You can see it's still pointing to the old. So now what I want to do, make sure it packages, Adobe, and then Reader. So we're gonna change packages. All we have to do is change that part, and then programs is all the same, text image is all the same, so we go okay. So now we've changed the source location. We'll have to do that on every single package that you have. Now there is a script that you can do this that changes the source location, but I'm just showing you how to do this within SCCM. We're gonna have to go down here. So I only have a few, so I'm just gonna show you. Okay, that's there. Oh, it's the one I created before. I think I want to delete that one. That's too. Yeah, I don't want that one. I already have a Microsoft Edge. Yep, we're going to delete that. I don't need two of those. All right. Okay, so we're going to do that. And we're going to do Office, make sure that's there. Office 365. Yep, x86. All right, and now because these applications were not here in the new environment, so now I need to go ahead and replicate them to my distribution point. So I'm going to distribute the content. Oh, I should probably create my boundary groups. That's probably the first thing you want to migrate, but since I have, yeah, let's do that. And so I don't have that much, so that's why I didn't migrate that over. So, yeah. But in an enterprise environment, you're going to probably want to do your boundaries and your boundary group before then you can go into application. But I manually add it because it's just a small lab. I don't have that much, which is fine. I just wanted to make sure I got my boundaries all there. So now we're going to go ahead and distribute the, oh, wait. I think it's, let me go back over here. Let me create, yeah, distribution point groups. Okay, yeah, you'll have to recreate your groups as well. So we're going to go ahead and do, what we call AD, and then we're going to go ahead and add this, because I just have the one DP for right now, which is fine. And then we got the one DP. So again, you'll also want to, now again, I'm just doing the basic for that for now. The one, all you need is one distribution point group in your environment, but you'll probably want to build out all of your DPs in your environment if you have multiple to get those going into the new environment. So I would set up your distribution points, your management points, and then you'll be set to, do all of the migration, stuff like that. So I only had a small lab, so I didn't think about that initially from an enterprise perspective for the sake of this video. So I already have a distribution point, that's all I need. But I will be adding more later. But for now, for the sake of this, I just needed one. So you'll need, like I said, your whole thing, your whole environment, your new environment set up with all of the back-end components you need. The boundaries and the boundary groups you can migrate. But all your DPs will need to be configured and set up. Your management points will need to be configured and set up that you have. But all of the other stuff like your cloud management gateway, and all of your endpoint analytics, desktop analytics, all of the other customization will have to be reapplied after your migration is done. So now I'm going to go ahead and distribute that content. Now that I got my group. I just had that one DP, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to select here. I'm just going to do this one so you can see that, again, I didn't have to recreate. And the whole purpose of doing this, I didn't have to recreate the application. I didn't have to set up all the parameters. I didn't have to do all that. It was moved over from one environment to the other. So it will save a lot of time when doing that. So let me go ahead and monitor that to see how that is going. So there we go. That's the one going. And this will probably take, it's done already. Sweet. So I'll have to do that for every single application and just replicate that. Again, these are kind of small, so these won't take that long to do. And then let's just monitor the other two, make sure. You don't want to do too many ones because you don't want to flood your network with stuff that's being replicated. That's kind of it's kind of a big package. And that's basically it that I have in my current environment. All right, so that's been migrated. So all my applications that I selected to be migrated over from the old environment to new have been updated with the new content location and has been replicated to a distribution point that I have in my new environment. Now, if you have multiple, then obviously it'll have to replicate to all of those DPs. And then if you come back to application and you want to just continue migrating jobs based on, what you want to migrate next. So typically I do all the applications and then, your deployment. I would do my deployment stuff last. I want to get everything over. My software update group, so let's do that because so we're going to go ahead and do software updates next. And so we're going to go next. So we're going to do, go ahead and do the software update groups. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all my groups from the old. So that also means I need to copy all my updates from the old over to the new. So I'm going to do that right now. So we're going to do updates, and then we're going to go over to the new. And create my folder. So I'm going to call it updates. And we're going to take all this and we're going to copy all this over so all of that stuff is there. Okay, so I have all the files copied over. So that's good. So now we're going to go ahead and do the software update groups. So I have 8 of those. We're going to do that. We're not going to do any collections at this point because I don't have anything. So I'm just going to do default. I'll reapply these security scopes later, but if you know what they are, you can do that now. So I'm going to just hit the default. I'm going to go ahead and run it now. Do the default option, and then next, and then there you go. So now, all right, so now that's running. So we'll let that go. All right, so the software update migration object migration is complete. So we're going to check that out. We're going to go over to software updates, groups, and there they are. So the only thing I'm going to have to do is, again, we have to do the deployment packages too. So we're going to do that next. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to do software deployment packages. And I have the same 8. There we go. We're going to go ahead and do that. And we're just going to do the default for now. I'm going to reapply what I want later. There it goes. All right, so I'm going to let that run. All right, so that's completed. As you can see, there's no failures. If there were, they would be indicated here. So if I come into my software, you'll see my deployment packages. Now, this is where I'm going to need to go ahead and change the path. So I'm ready to do the other ones now that that's done. So I just need to change. There we go. On the new server. And that's basically all I'm going to do in this video. I don't want it to make sure that that's checked. So that's basically, now all I have to do now is just distribute the content to the, which I'll do later. So that's basically it. So we still have more stuff to migrate, but I'm going to save that for maybe a second video to kind of go over migrating some other stuff. At this point, you'll probably want to continue going through and migrating all of the other objects you can. And then in the next video, I will go over some of the other things and some of the stuff that doesn't get migrated and how to move those over, like your scripts, your custom reports, your client stuff. So we'll go over that in a separate video. But here you can kind of generally see what you can kind of migrate. You just need to repoint it to the new location, replicate that over on all of your stuff. And so, and that's basically it for how to set up the migration, how to create the migration jobs, and some of the requirements that you need to have in place before you can do this, which means you have to have both environments running. You have to have at least all of your distribution points in your new environment, your WSUS turned on, and that kind of stuff. And then you can kind of start migrating some things over. You have to have the 2 environments running at the same time. Let's see, can I do this on a scale? Oh yeah, so right now it's every 4 hours. So it's every 4 hours, and it's going to gather data, and that's it. So yeah, you can change it to like every 8 hours if you want, 24 hours, just depending on your environment. So I'm going to do it every 24 hours because, again, it's just a lab. I don't need it to run every 4 hours. So I'm just going to do once every 24 hours. So you can actually set that up on a schedule. And that's basically it. So again, once I get everything migrated, then we're going to go over some, upgrading to 2111. We're going to do some more Windows 11 stuff. We're going to get into some more cloud stuff. And the reason I'm doing this migration from the old to the new is because my old environment, I can't do an in-place upgrade with the operating system and the SQL version that I have. So I had to build a whole new environment. So I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to show you how to migrate from one environment to another in case you're having to move have to move to a new co-location, maybe to the cloud or what have you. You'll want to do this process. It'll make your job a lot easier. You won't have to rebuild everything from scratch. So it's a nice tool to get some objects over from the old environment into the new. So I'll put some information in the link in the description for you to review. Again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Like it and subscribe. There's going to be a ton of content coming your way. Again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.